My name is Natalie, and welcome to our Restorative Yoga Flow. Today's theme is stillness and movement as we explore restorative boat pose or Navasana. For this all comfort but no effort flow, we deep dive into our meditation in 3 steps. First, we exercise comfort with some gentle joint articulations and breathwork. Then prep ourselves by framing our mind and relaxing our body in full contemplation, and then shift towards meditation. At any time, please make any necessary adjustments to your posture and know that any cue I offer is just that, an offering to expand your practice. Now, if you would like, please join me as we settle ourselves in a nice and comfortable position. Notice that I am surrounded by pillows, so please take this time to make your adjustments in your environment. Find a nice, as reasonably you can, a comfortable setting with all the pillows and perhaps a blanket for comfort. Now, boat pose, traditionally in yoga class, if you're in a flow class, for instance, we exercise control of our core, lifting our legs up. But for restorative yoga, we're actually going to begin our movements in a nice little reclined position. So without propping our legs up at first, let us just sit nice, reasonably reclined with some pillows stacked at our low back and upper back or shoulders, where we find repose. Settling our breath, and then gently articulating the joints at our wrists, nice little circles. Circles one way and then another. Perhaps noticing the kind eye where we might be gripping, maybe noticing any tension that arises, whether it is at our shoulders or neck, and then just start to let go. Sometimes we are bracing ourselves and kind of holding ourselves, and let us see where we can soften. And then find a nice resting place for our head. Maybe we have some gentle articulations, ear to shoulder, side to side, or maybe some chin tucks, tracing a little smiley face with our chin, pointing our chin up and down. Wonderful. Now, for some articulations of the feet, here's where we can begin to use pillows by our lower limbs, and then bring our legs up high enough to where perhaps they are raised, and then we can let go of the muscles by our legs in full support of our props. Fantastic. And then from here, maybe splaying the toes out and then back together, circling our feet one way and then the other. Flex and point, all the different permutations, perhaps a foot wave here. And then squeezing our legs together, so gently, but squeezing our legs, hugging the midline. Hug, 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 self-hug. Hands at the elbows, chin towards chest, scrunching even the face. Big deep breath, and after scrunching everything we can, full noodle, relax. And then perhaps one more time. Squeeze, 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 maybe even self-hug. Find a pole, lifting ourselves up. In the opposite of full relaxation and no effort, all the effort. Squeeze it out, squeeze, 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 and big breath. Softening into our exhale. And then as we like, perhaps we can stay reclined. And then without that self-hug, without that pull, maybe in this last and final variation, we make a fist, scrunch our feet, incorporate the muscles in our legs, hips, squeeze, heels energetically towards our hips. Oh, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then full noodle, soften into each exhale. here is where I invite you to perhaps close your eyes in this instance, or have a soft downward gaze towards your nose. If that is tricky, then keep your eyes focused, but choose a singular focus. Perhaps it is on myself. As we begin to navigate restorative boat. First, easing ourselves into our breath. Let us first ground ourselves in our comfortable space. Noticing the position of our head, shoulders, hips, and feet in the nice little shape of a boat. Noticing the outline of our posterior chain, of the back side of our body from head to toes, nested in full support or repose of our pillows, of our full comfort. Here's where we can take a kind eye towards any tension or pain that we're carrying and acknowledge it. In addition, acknowledge any outside distractions that have nothing to do with our boat, our breath, our sense of self. And in each acknowledgement, perhaps in a body scan, from crown to toes, with each inhale, we take a big inhale and notice our crown, and then soften with a nice audible sigh into our exhales. And then with each lift of our breath, fully expanding our belly and chest, rising with our shoulders even. Notice the muscles around our face and our neck. And see where we can soften in those areas into each exhale. Let us continue the scan from top to bottom, this time with a nice complete breath, inhaling into our chest space and shoulders and arms, noticing where we may be anticipating or holding. Find a peak in our breath, a nice in-between pause, and soften, exhale. Continue to our belly space, acknowledging that some discomfort may exist. We acknowledge it and set it outside of our awareness. Seeing if we can continue immersing ourselves in the deepness and quality of our breaths. Find a pause and relax, soften. Moving down as we like in our awareness for each inhale. The muscles around our hips, legs, and letting go where we can, as we can, in our exhales. In our next inhale, let us bring awareness to our knees, our lower limbs, our feet. And let us now move away in our awareness from our body, our frame, the frame of our boat, and then immerse ourselves with the breath. Perhaps you're inviting a beautiful scene in contemplation where our boat, our self, is navigating the waters. Let us envision beautiful, calm waters surrounding us, waving softly back and forth in concert with our breath. Let the rhythm of our breath, the rise and lift of our belly and chest, stir and rock our boat forward and back and side to side. Then envisioning our eyes, or perhaps perhaps on our soft or closed gaze. We note the sensation of shifting and rocking back and forth, and sink into our butt, finding further repose. Here's where we can notice waves shifting side to side around us. Constant movement surrounding our frame, the sides of our boat, encasing our body. But our center, our spine, our breath, our sense of self does not move. In full exercise of calm, let us enjoy solid rest. And acknowledging this brief moment of wordless rest, let us then notice how we slowly and with great calm come back to awareness, in which we, as it makes sense, shift our position by keeping a soft gaze down towards our nose, but only move our fingers, noticing what it feels like for the rest of ourself, of our body, to remain still, but only move our fingers. And then slowly moving up towards our shoulders, let us then articulate the wrists, shifting from side to side or circling. Then moving our arms out again, so slowly, and to preserve calm, perhaps scrunch our hands and then squeeze, squeeze, squeeze at our chest, fingers towards our shoulders, self-hug, squeeze, squeeze, and then open the hands so slowly, outstretched arms out wide. Widespread fingers, feeling the strength in our body and a slight lift of our chest. Shrugging our shoulders up and back, and then forward and back. Then continuing to move up, and this time perhaps even opening our eyes now. Chin lifts up and down, finding nice gentle articulations as it feels good to us in our headspace. Then bringing our shoulders from side to side in gentle trunk twists, keeping our lower back stabilized. And then lastly, our lower limbs. So enjoying a nice stable space in our belly with freedom of breath. Perhaps one at a time, we can bring knee to chest, circle one foot, and switch as it feels good. Perhaps choosing to linger in one variation in stillness, or going back and forth as it feels good to do so. We can stay in this supported boat pose as long as we like, or perhaps you can join me as we return to a nice and upright seated posture. Namaste, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today.